Hello, we're back with another Bay Mud Mystery Box, number 2. As usual, friend of the channel Phil, hi Phil, dropped this off with a piece of his own gear inside. Now I get to open it, have fun with whatever it is, and decide if it's something I would buy for myself. Let's see what we've got. Lots of packing material. Oh, I see a pedal. Oh, I've actually heard of this one. A Drolo Stretch Weaver. Very cool. The only thing I really knew about this pedal was that it was able to do something with 2 different instruments at a time. I'll spare you the hour I spent misunderstanding the controls and just get into the good stuff. Basically, put a different instrument or signal into each of the left and right inputs, then adjust how much they affect each other, triggering all kinds of stretching, repeating, pitching, etc. via the different modes. The guts are a clever use of the now classic FV1 chip, so some of the pitching and stretching effects will sound familiar if you've used a lot of modern digital boutique pedals, but the special sauce is in the way the 2 channels interact and sidechain each other, like using a simple Woovebox drum beat to trigger a glitchy glide on a Casio keyboard, making it much more interesting. Let's try a little experiment. My voice is now going entirely through the Stretch Weaver, so it may sound a little different, but we're going to use gate mode and add a beat to see the relationship there. So we'll bring up a beat. And now I'm going to drop the dry of my voice, just leaving the wet. Now you should only hear me when there's a beat. Now you can only hear my voice when there's a beat. But we can go the opposite way too. So let's turn down the beat, bring up the dry of my voice, and we'll swap which one is affecting which. So now you should only hear the beat when I'm talking. And we can have some fun with that. Let's add some other hits. Now you can only hear the beat when I'm talking. And my phrasing adds spaces to the groove. This is a lot of fun. I've been doing it all day, and I really need to stop and move on with my life. You can also use the Stretch Weaver like a regular pedal with a single instrument and still benefit from the effects in fun ways, like how this simple guitar gets woven and spread across the stereo field. It can also be fun to just input a stereo instrument and then switch modes until you find something that sticks. In this case, the modern Sounds Pluto has its 2 voices hard panned left and right so they can impact each other. Some of the modes will sound better on different sources, and occasionally I wanted a bit more control, but that discovery and letting go is part of the fun. For example, gate mode won't be very noticeable here, for instance, but once we get to ring mod, it really transforms the Pluto. Of course, with two similar sounding sources, it can be hard to discern how they're interacting, and you might think a stereo delay or granular pedal would get the same result. It's much easier to show off with something completely different in each channel, and I find it particularly interesting with percussive stuff, like how smacking this DIY contact mic can make a simple melody on the Volca Keys turn into something a little more interesting. It's also fun to go in the opposite direction and have a synth trigger effects on drum sounds. In this example, we've got a simple beat playing on the Deluge, and we're using a single plucky random synth voice from the workshop system to spice things up by triggering stretch mode on the drums. They can also both manipulate each other, with the drums causing the synth to stretch too. Changing modes mid-jam can be interesting, so let's switch to repeat. Keeping in mind, the control knob may also need to be adjusted when you change modes. So do I wish this was mine and not Phil's? I mean, this thing is definitely fun. There were times I wanted more control or a better understanding of what the control knob was doing in each mode, but that unpredictability is also part of the appeal as it leads to happy accidents. It also seems to sell out quickly whenever a new batch is available, though I believe more stock may have just been announced coincidentally. I promise this isn't sponsored. Overall, I'm not sure how often I would reach for it, but I am glad it exists, and even more glad to have a pal like Phil who is willing to lend it to me. I'm gonna give it back and see how much I miss it before making any snap decisions. Have you tried the Stretch Weaver? Any favorite uses for it, or can you recommend something else with a similar feature set and a way to impact two different sources? Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, I'll be waiting to see what's in the next mystery box. Thanks for watching. So now you can only hear my voice when there's a beat.